Hello everyone, welcome to Artistic Atom channel. I am Fatima and today we will be continuing the chapter that we have started in the previous session, that is material and their structure. Now in this session we will be covering two subtopics from this chapter, that is 2.1 and 2.3. So let's see which are the topics that we are going to cover. So here are the topics that we are going to cover. The topics that we are covering are highlighted in green color. That is understanding changes, states of matter, explore the reason behind the state change, along with the notes, understanding the vocabulary, evaporation, boiling, and steam. Since these topics are very important, that's why I've divided them into two parts. That is, this is the part one, and I'll be uploading next session where I'll be covering understanding measurements, where we'll be deeply discussing about how to measure volume, what are the instruments that we use, along with the same, we are going to apply it to temperature. So let's start with our first session. So in this, we will be discussing about changing states. Now, in previous session, we have somewhat discussed about the particle model consisting of solids, liquids, and gases, and what are the different properties associated with them. In this session, we will be discussing, suppose if heat or energy is provided to solids, liquids, and gases, then what will happen? So the conclusion is when the heat or the energy is provided to the system consisting of solids, liquids, and gases, there is a phenomenon happens which is called as change of states, in which if solid is getting converted into liquid after gaining energy, we call that process as melting. Now, suppose if this happens, like liquid gains energy and that liquid gets converted into gaseous state, we call that process as what? Evaporation, or sometimes you may find the term vaporization. Now, there is one more important vocab that we should remember. Whenever a solid or a liquid is directly getting converted into gaseous state, we call it those gaseous atoms of the that particular liquid or solid as vapors. Like for example, suppose if water is gaining energy, water molecules are gaining energy and they are getting converted into their gaseous state, we will term them as water vapors. Now, suppose if the reverse happens, like gas molecules, they lose energy, then they will get converted into liquid, and we call them that they are following the process of condensation. You might have used this term frequently or sometimes or often, that the liquid is getting condensed on the lid. So it's the same process. The gas is getting converted into liquid by losing energy or the heat. Where that energy is actually going, that energy is actually lost to the surrounding. Now the next is if liquid loses energy, liquid particles loses energy, they get converted into solid, and the process with which this happens is called as freezing. So this is what the terms involved in the changing states. Let's understand why actually these solids get converted into liquids, liquids into gases, and the vice versa. Why actually it happens. As I have already told you that we are going to use PET stimulation in order to understand the change of states, why actually it happens. So as you can see in this particular container, here we have solid particles. They are continuously vibrating at their position, fixed positions, but they are not moving. So now, as soon as I provide heat to the system, what happens? These particles, they start gaining energy. And as soon as they start gaining more and more energy, it starts to move faster and away from each other. This causes them to move far away from each other, but not too far. So we call this particular process as melting, where solid is getting converted into liquid. Now suppose if I continue providing heat to the system, what is happening now? Particles are gaining more and more energy, and now they are moving much faster and much far apart from each other. Now the liquid is getting converted into gaseous state. So this means this is the process of evaporation. Now I have understood that if I provide heat to the system, the particles, they will gain energy and they will move faster and their speed changes. Now what will happen if I decrease their energy? So if I decrease the temperature of the system, what happens? These particles, they will start losing energy. Where that energy will go? That energy will go to the surrounding. So as they will start losing the energy, you can see that their movement has become slower than before, and now they're trying to accumulate and are coming closer. Their intermolecular forces of attraction also increases. So I can see that now those gaseous molecules are getting converted into liquid. So if I continue reducing the temperature, what will happen? They will come more closer to each other and they will get converted into solid. This process is nothing but freezing. So we have understood that if we increase the temperature of the system, the particles they will gain energy and their state changes. In the same way, if I decrease the temperature, the particles will lose their energy and that energy will go to the surrounding, and slowly and steadily they will come closer to each other. Their intermolecular forces increases, again their state change occurs. So this is the reason why solids, liquids and gases, they interchange their states depending upon the change in temperature. Hope you have understood this very well through this PET stimulation. Now we have discussed about how actually the state change happens and what's the reason behind. Now here I have provided you also with the notes for the processes that we have discussed earlier. Here I have also bolded the highlight, important parts or the key terms which you should include while writing the answers. Hope this helps you out. So stop the video, take a screenshot and make a note of it. Let's move ahead. So these are all the notes. Now next is the understanding vocabulary. So there are different terms involved in this change of states. The first term is evaporation, other term is boiling. So sometimes students get confused. What is evaporation and what is boiling? So let's understand it using this illustration. So in this what I can see is, in case of boiling, what happens? The particles they gain energy. As soon as they gain energy, they starts to move faster and they move far away from each other. As we continue providing them heating and the temperature reaches 100 degrees Celsius, all the particles present in the system, they starts to gain energy and move faster. And what happens, as they have gained enough energy, they are moving to such a higher extent that there is bubble formation. So since there are bubble formations, slowly and steadily what happens, these particles, they move a lot more faster than earlier and their particles are much far away from each other. This causes them to come out of the system in the form of gaseous particles. And what do we call them as? Yes, we call them as water vapors. So boiling is a bulk phenomena which happens throughout the liquid, and it happens exactly at 100 degrees Celsius for water. This means we can conclude that boiling is a fast change of state of liquid into gaseous, and this happens when the liquid is heated strongly. Along with this, boiling has a fixed temperature. Like for each and every liquid, the boiling point will be fixed. For example, for water, the fixed boiling point is 100 degrees Celsius. So no matter what happens, water will boil exactly at 100 degrees Celsius only. Even if you take inside a cup or even if you take inside a huge container, the water is going to boil at 100 degrees Celsius only. Now, the next point to remember is that boiling happens throughout the liquid. And since it's a fast process, it happens quickly. And always, in case of boiling, we will observe bubble formation, vigorous bubble formation. Now, when we talk about evaporation, in evaporation, what happens? Now, when we have started heating the liquid, slowly and steadily, few of the particles they gain energy. When these particles they gain energy, they start to move faster and they get converted into their gaseous state, that is nothing but vapors. But their amount is very low. Okay, or the number is very low compared to the boiling. So evaporation happens below the boiling point. Like whatever is the boiling point, below that temperature, like 25, 60 or whatever are the temperatures below 100 degrees Celsius, the gaseous molecules which have come out of that particular liquid are considered as vapor, and the process is called as evaporation. But exactly at 100 degrees Celsius, we call the same process as what? Boiling. So in case of evaporation, this is a slow change or it is a slow process. And this happens at any temperature below the boiling point, okay? And always remember that evaporation only happens at the surface. Like suppose if the particle is there over here, okay? Suppose if the particle is over here. Now, They are one above the other inside a liquid, like they are randomly arranged. So as soon as I'm providing the heat, these particles, they are hitting each other and their energy is getting exchanged with each other. And as soon as the top molecule gains that energy, it is enough for that particle to escape from that layer. So slowly and steadily, the particles which are present at the surface, they gain energy and they get converted into gaseous vapors, and we call this process as what? Evaporation, because only the top layer molecules, they gain heat or the energy from the lower molecules. Since they pass that energy to each other, now the top molecule will have the enough energy and it will escape quickly from that particular container. So this happens below the boiling point. All the temperatures, whenever these particles are coming out, we call it as what? Evaporation. Now, where you can observe this process. So while drying clothes, you can see that from the surface of the cloth, slowly and steadily the water evaporates, and what happens? All the molecules from that cloth will water molecules from that cloth will evaporate. So we can see this while drying clothes. And boiling, you can see when you have kept water for boiling in a kettle. So there what happens? Vigorously bubble formation inside that kettle, and a strong stream comes out of the snout of that particular kettle. So let's move ahead. Hope you have understood the difference between evaporation and boiling. Now when we talk about another vocabulary, it is nothing but steam. So what do you understand by the term steam? Steam is nothing but the water vapors which are formed above the boiling liquid. So when the liquid starts to boil, there is a white colored water vapors appear at the top of that particular container. So these vapors are called as steam. Now in case of steam, you can see through steam. It is not opaque. Okay, you can see through it. As you can see here, I can see at the top of this particular utensil, I can see there are water vapors, and I can see through it. Hence, we will term these water vapors as what? Steam. Okay. And make sure that this steam is only formed after the water boils, or whatever is the liquid. Once it boils, it will get converted into what? Steam. Now, when we talk about the term boiling, so boiling is the process by which liquid changes into its gaseous state. What is boiling point? Boiling point is the exact temperature when this happens. Like for example, I can say that the boiling process happens for water at exactly at 100 degrees Celsius. So this 100 degrees Celsius is nothing but the boiling point for that particular liquid or water. I hope you have understood these three terms, that is steam, boiling and boiling point. Let's move ahead. And here we go. Here we have concluded our session. That is, we have covered few topics from 2.2 and 2.3. In next session, we will continue the same. Till that time, if you have any queries or any doubts, do comment it in the comment section. I will surely make to answer those questions. Along with this, if you want me to start teaching any other topic, any specific topic, you can do comment that. I will try to make a video on that. So do like, share and subscribe to my channel, Artistic Atom. See you in the next video.